this company is just freaking amazing. I cannot believe how good it is to its employees, and it's
like good to their employees. Like VGS. Did you see the video the other day?
No, I haven't looked at their.
They had one of the guys volunteer to test tasers. the civilian tasers that they sell in the store. So, cut off jean shorts, and he rolls them up, and it's like the first one you can see him collapse a little bit. The second one, you heard him scream just a little bit, and he's like, that one, that's the one you want to buy. Like, Jesus fuck, bro. Like, if I ever get a gun store, like, oh man, shenanigans will be had.
Oh yeah, there's that. Remember that story with the like lipstick taser? Or that guy was like left alone by his wife with the lipstick taser he had bought her, and he's like sitting there, and the cat's looking at him like, "Do it." He just goes, and sticks it on his leg and hits it, and then like wakes up like 20 minutes later on the floor and can't find his glasses, and he's like, or his balls, and the cat's just laughing at him in the corner, and like the coffee table's flipped over, and he's like, oh, apparently a single AA battery is enough.
if you drain it all in one shot, like it'll like it's not nice.
Well, and I imagine because he was tasing himself, he then seized up and just kept tasing himself until the battery died. Oh. Hey man, you tase somebody in the crotch, they're gonna have a bad time.
Well, which link did I miss? Let's see. Oh,
Chris said he's getting issues getting his computer to work. It looks like we traded problems. Normally that's me.
We cannot have problems next week.
Yeah, no issues next. I will be on early, ready to rock and roll.
I talked to Typo earlier or yesterday. And confirmed everything, and they actually said they're excited.
Oh.
So they must have like no plans on Sunday. They're bored as fuck.
Yeah, apparently, because Jesus.
But yeah,
otherwise, why would they be excited?
Yeah, since we've been live for almost 3 minutes. But yeah, I confirmed with Typo, and him and Luke are excited. His words. To come on next week. That is August 21st for the 30th anniversary of Ruby Ridge.
I should have my my custom Shoddy shirt.
Yeah, that means I have to do. What's fucking Christopher bitching about? Fucking Microsoft. Yeah, duh. When you dance with the devil, you gotta put up with the devil's bullshit.
In the pale moonlight.
Microsoft and Apple.
Apple's horrific.
Yes.
I can't stand I freaking can't stand Apple. Like somebody was saying something about, oh, well, do you have an iPhone? I was like, I would rather spend the next several years just being kicked in the balls regularly by a midget than go buy an Apple ever.
Like I will do more. I'll rub two sticks together, make a fire, and do Morse code out of smoke before I get an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's the force reboot for critical updates.
Yeah.
My laptop's so broken it doesn't download critical updates anymore. So
my laptop informed me that it does not have the necessary specifications to run Windows 11. and now it's telling me that my battery is damaged and I need to replace it.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's fun. As long as it survives through next week, I'll be good. I'll be good.
Yeah, my plan is I'm going to replace this thing that I have. It's an Asus. It's one of the ROG, the Republic of Gamers laptops. It was the highest end one they had 4 years ago. Yeah. So it is no longer particularly high end. I mean, it's got an i7 and stuff, but
yeah, mine was a refurb when I bought it 4 years ago.
Yeah, this was a really nice
ago, something like that.
Yeah, this is really nice. This is like $4,000 gaming laptop like 4 years ago, but now it's like crap. So like that sucks, but I'm gonna buy just a regular desktop tower because for work now I work from home, so I have all my stuff off camera that direction, but I have monitors and I have and all that. So I'm just gonna get a regular tower. Yep. And I'll just have a regular tower, and I'm going to get a gaming PC because I was thinking about it. I was going to get an Xbox X, but I started thinking about it. I'm like, or I could just get a gaming PC that I can just keep upgrading, which makes a lot more sense. So I think I'm going to do that. Because if I still want to use controllers with a computer game, I can still use controllers.
I don't know anybody wants to use an Xbox controller though.
Well, if I'm playing like certain like driving games, unless I have an actual steering wheel and pedals, I might as well use that because it's a little more precise with the joystick.
No. PlayStation superiority?
No. No.
Tell me Microsoft. It's Microsoft. Christopher is having problems with Microsoft right now. And you voluntarily purchased their products.
I'm going to voluntarily purchase a Microsoft-based PC because only a complete sociopath would ever buy an Apple and then attempt to game on it.
That's true.
And you can't really use Linux. I mean, you can use Linux for gaming, sort of, but there are a lot of games that you just can't. Nope. So it's still Microsoft. It's got to be Microsoft. I can get a nice, GeForce graphics card and do some sweet gaming, man. Funny thing is, I originally bought this for video editing. I didn't even care about the gaming. I wanted all the graphics processing for video editing, and then it slowed down so bad because of whatever weird failed process happened because of Microsoft rolling out an improper update.
Isn't GeForce Radeon?
Yeah. They're
so when you purchase it, you're helping out Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, well.
Why do you love it, Nancy Pelosi, Andrew?
I don't. Trust me, I don't. But actually, I'm getting, because I have Cards Against Humanity. I have a whole deck.
I have a story about Cards Against Humanity in just a second. They they put out a statement the other day that they're no longer that all the orders that come in from the states that banned or are planning to ban abortion, they're taking the proceeds from all those sales and donating them to LGBT communities. That's their little faux woke fuck you.
Yeah, that's very faux woke considering that, gay people don't breed. Just basic biology, but I know they hate biology, and so it's a
yeah. Well, let's see.
Oh, for fuck's sake, man.
3, 4, 5, 6. God damn, I'm so fucked up on my links. I don't have. Let's see. What am I missing? I do the links. I have them all sorted out, and I try to bring them up on my phone, but I didn't have my links here when I had them over there, and now I'm trying to catch up over here, and I feel dumb.
Most professional podcast on the web.
Professional AF.
This is the riveting content that you all tune in for. Right here.
I don't even know what I'm missing. What am I missing?
I have no idea. Let's see. We got the Alec Baldwin being proven to be a liar. We got
we have that one. I have
the Kansas phone policy thing.
Okay, we have the phone policy thing.
We actually have two things in Kansas today.
That's what I'm missing. That's what I don't have.
Hey, I found it.
There you go.
We have turning off murderous robot dogs.
Yes. Okay.
Hack the world. That had to be done.
No.
We got a thing about the IRS.
Fuck the IRS. The phone policy thing. That's the thing I don't have.
Okay.
No, I have the same I have the same 2 links listed for the phone policy and the bludgy thing.
Oh, well, I mean, they both said Kansas, so
Yeah.
you know.
There we go. That's
There's no place like home.
There we go. Like I have it all sorted out.
Woo! Professional.
We are back on track 10 minutes into the podcast.
Let's say 10 minutes into the fucking show, which started 5 minutes late.
I don't know what sort of prize we're getting, but we are not going to like it.
There are people that just listen to this on Spotify who right now are like, what the fuck is happening?
Potato.
Potato podcast. Yeah.
Potato podcast.
But us, we are just worms.
But yeah, so now that we are nice and fully discombobulated,
and Chris is going to show up partway through this shit too.
maybe if Microsoft lets him on. And I'm being messaged about someone's new alpacas. Cool.
We're good at stuff.
My friends in Wyoming got alpacas, and I'm slightly jealous.
You're gonna be like, oh, I really want to go see these. I'll pack my bags. See myself out.
That was a lame joke. That was a really bad misinterpretation of a word. I apologize on behalf of dad jokes everywhere. I am sorry.
Cashmere outside. Just ruminating on those.
Yeah, I hope Lindsay hurts you. Let's okay. Let's start in the school cell phone.
Did you see a boring sandwiches thing in the chat? I have to go put up my chickens. Like that sounds like a euphemism to take a shit, does it not? Like I had to go put up my chickens.
They have to go roost. I don't want to know. Let's go play with this cock.
I was gonna say or masturbation.
Or masturbation. I have to go put up my chickens.
Yeah, I've got to go see a man about a dog. I have to go put up my chickens. You know how it is.
Yeah.
I need to go find Penelope. You understand?
Go cock-a-doodle-doo. So let's do the cell phone one because you sent that one today.
Okay. Are we not doing an introduction at all? Like we're just giving up on that?
No, fine. I gave up on that one like 13 minutes ago when I hit live.
Cool.
13 minutes of bull. If you are still listening at this point in time, thank you. But you need to go see somebody.
You should seek counseling.
Like if you're still with us 13 and 30 minutes into this episode, you need to go take mushrooms and sit in front of a mirror and have a conversation with yourself.
Oh God! Now that scene from The Boys is stuck in my head, with where his gills were singing to him.
I think our train of thought has wings now. We're so far off the tracks that it's evolved and it's just flying everywhere. If a train shits on you, we're sorry.
Oh God.
Yeah. So school's new phone policy goes viral after upset mom posts about it. Nobody, nope.
Yeah, and I completely agree with her assessment there. Like nope.
I did look up the tweet and who she was, and she is woke to the extreme. She is actually the chairman of the biology department at UC San Jose here in California.
Oh yeah,
the southern part of the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. So she is woke as fuck, but she's right on this thing. So, one school's new cell phone policy has gone viral after mom posted about it Friday afternoon. Dr. Rachel French said in a now viral tweet that her daughter's school released a new policy saying officials can read, quote, any text message between students even after hours.
Oh, no.
Yeah, nobody, nope. She added to the tweet.
Yeah, and she mentioned she told her kids that if anyone asks to see your phone, that's my personal property. You tell them they can call me and ask permission.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, but I mean, this is
she's not wrong.
No, she's not. I mean, this is a pretty indicative thing of, the way that schools really are set up. Public schools in America, they are set up to get kids used to government overreach. They're set up to get kids completely, just totally used to the idea that they're going to be constantly monitored, that they're going to be, that the government gets to tell them what they are and are not allowed to do and when, and that the government gets to look into their personal business whenever they want in the name of safetyness.
Safetyness. Yeah.
It's, I mean, and that's...
This thread just gets worse and worse and worse.
Oh, don't ever look at the comments. You never read the comments.
It's her comments. It's her commentary on her tweet.
Oh.
At least it's not Breitbart this time.
Oh. And the thing is that, like, she is being wokey. She is part of the culture that created things like this, because their argument is, we need it so that we can prevent bullying.
Yes.
Well, are you fucking kidding me? You need to read every single text message, private text message on a privately owned device, just in case somebody's saying mean things. Are you kidding me? What happened to there was a time when the right to privacy was like a major thing that even the political left cared about.
Yes.
Like that was a thing that existed once upon a time. I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats still pretended to give a shit about rights.
Yes. It's
yeah, and even after hours, after they're away from school, the school can demand to see their messages. Is what the school's claiming. So that is absolutely fucking not. Oh, no. No.
I'm trying to do things I'm not technologically intelligent enough to do. Let's see. Did I do it right that time? Oh, masks are always required in schools in California.
Oh God.
Let's see.
Oh no.
Let's see. Oh, it talks about masks. Masks. Let's see. There were well-fitting cloth masks that included 0.1 micron filters. Kids and I have been wearing them since August. That was in last year. I missed my 30th high school reunion last year, and looking at the pictures, I'm glad I did. No masks on anybody in a county I know is only at about 50% vaccination. Yeah.
Yeah. See, again, this chick is part of the culture that created this, and this is one of those things where it's again the
Sigh. She said, "Sigh waves from California. Masks work. If you aren't going to bother to mandate vaccines, then I guess you want folks to get sick."
Yep, that's definitely what it is. That's also, if you're not going to allow people to read your kids' text messages, then I guess you just want them to get bullied.
Yeah.
Like, this is the irony of these people, that they don't understand that they lack so much self-awareness that they don't even notice the irony of themselves. Like they don't get it.
Okay,
they honestly don't.
Here's one for you from April 17th. Dude at the hair salon customer says to the mask-wearing staff, quote, "I don't believe they work. Anyway, I'm vaccinated. Why do I need a mask?" She replies, "Should be noted that most of the clientele were not wearing masks. It's easier to get a haircut if you're not."
I'm not sure where she's going with that.
No, very wishy-washy.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by your tactics. I mean, like, this is just.
Oh, here's one for you. This will tell you like 99% of the things you need to know. Even those of us who have been wearing masks since before we were told we had to, who diligently did not see other people for a year, we are put in a position now of continuing to do this forever, or assessing what we think our loved one's risk is based on limited data.
I can't even touch that one. I can't even. I don't want to. I don't want to even.
People! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Masks do not work if you pull them down every 2 seconds to take a drink of your damn soft drink while you wait for your food.
Oh, I see. I'm supposed to dehydrate.
Also, retail establishments aren't enforcing capacity limits. There were so many people today in Popeyes. I waited outside on the sidewalk.
Like a psychopath.
Fucking psychopath. Oh my God. But to her credit, she is correct on this particular single point.
Even a broken clock can be right 2 or 3 times a day.
Yes. She also has a quote that said, people, if a child is being cyberbullied and someone told them to kill themselves, the emergency is making sure that the child is safe, not figuring out immediately who to punish. Which I guess that's in favor of them checking the phones or not checking the phones.
I think she's trying to say for not checking the phones, that you just make sure that the kid is okay. Worry about who sent them the messages later.
Yeah. But then when they have to check the messages in order to determine if someone is being cyberbullied. So she's in favor of the checks again.
Yeah.
And then
what she's saying is she's in favor of it, but not at will. She's saying with cause.
With cause. Oh, okay. So schools should be allowed to violate privacy based on,
as long as it's
opinion?
For safetyness. As long as it's for safetyness.
For safetyness.
Yeah. That's why I call it safetyness, because I want to reinforce how ridiculous it is. It's for the safetyness.
There's another comment that says, have you heard about all the recent school shootings? By all means, let's take away the only thing a child has to contact 911 and their parent. The world of work now includes phones because it is 2022. Simple. But then, like Arizona, they recently had the school went into lockdown because a guy near the school was seen with a gun. So they went into lockdown and kids freaked out and called their parents, and the police tased and arrested 3 parents trying to get to their kids.
After Uvalde.
After Uvalde, yeah. This was just the other day, like 3 or 4 days ago. So.
They learn nothing, because there's never any consequences for their actions.
No, it's they literally want the cake and to eat it too, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. They want both sides of the issue without actually addressing the issue. Yes, Daniel, I am glad you finished schooling before the entire pandemic also. Yes, my son's in the chat tonight.
Yeah, oh my God. I just, my kid thankfully goes to a private school, so I don't have to deal with a lot of that shit. So.
my kids were homeschooled, but they still, it was kind of like an intermingle sort of thing, but yeah. No. But my daughter's graduation was right before, and then my son's graduation actually got canceled because of all the COVID bullshit.
Because people might cough. Yeah. It's the black lung power.
Oh, yeah. Okay, God, we're just... This is the worst episode ever.
It's just... well, we started off on the right foot, is what happened.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Good Lord. Oh.
Daniel deep cough, yeah. There was no segues in anything that we just said. I don't think we even made a point. I think we just ragged on her.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, that's what it was. I think the point is what we say all the time on the show, which is stop sending your children to public schools. Don't let your kids be educated by the fucking enemy.
See, and that's the other thing. If not only stop sending your kids to public schools because you don't want them to be, educated by the enemy. Get involved in public schools, even if your kid doesn't go there, because 99% of the population still goes to public schools, and I don't want my kids to have to put up with them.
Yeah.
Like what anarchist libertarians, it irks me so much. Oh, just the answer is to homeschool. Okay, fine, I homeschool. There's still like 19 million kids that are being educated by the system. You can't fight the system when everybody's being educated by the system except your kid. Your kid isn't Neo, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, and the thing is too is like at the fall of Nazi Germany, right? So the true beginning of the fall, 1943, mid 1943. The SS noted that the propaganda no longer worked on anyone except the German youth who had been educated by the state and indoctrinated. But even them, by late 43, even they were starting to go, I don't even want to go into the SS. I want to just go into the Abwehr if I'm doing anything. Yeah. The regular, the Wehrmacht. I want to go into the Wehrmacht. I want to go into the regular army and not go into the like, even they weren't true believers anymore, really. But like, the fact that everyone else in the country picked up on how ridiculous everything was, except for the youth. Like, as very clearly, the Germans are not winning, right? Like, their cities are getting bombed into dust. The firebombing of Hamburg's occurred. All this stuff is happening. The Soviets are pushing them back. As all of this is occurring, they lost North Africa. Italy's starting, has been invaded and is being taken by the Allies. As all this is happening, the adults are going, yeah, obviously we're losing the war. The propaganda is full of shit. We don't believe them anymore. But the youth, because they've been so hardcore indoctrinated, are still holding on to it.
Yeah, what's the line that's accredited to Hitler? It's actually Goebbels, and it's like, give me the youth and control the future or something like that.
Yeah, it's something about like give me the youth and I will control a country in a generation or something. Is basically what it is.
It's accredited to Hitler, but it's a Joseph Goebbels quote because he's the speechwriter. But Andrew's looking it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember who actually what the exact quote is. Nazis give me the youth. The youth, don't you know?
Christopher said he's not going to be able to join us.
Oh, well, it looks like it's just the two of us. So, you poor bastards listening to this.
Oh. Yep. Let's see. Boring Sandwich says it's a Lenin. Give me just one generation of youth, and I'll transform the whole world.
Oh, okay, it was Lenin then.
Right. Vladimir. That'll work. It's not wrong. Pointy. It's not wrong. It's the quote is not wrong. It's indoctrination. Fuck, but.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what it's talking about is just indoctrination. It's talking about this idea that if I can start them young, because the thing is when kids are school age, especially younger school age, they're in this position where mentally they're learning how to look at the world, right? And the presuppositions, the lenses that they're going to look at the world through. And if you can control that, you can control the way they think going forward forever.
Yeah, it's not just the kids though. When you have a multi-generational system like we have, right? It actually starts before kids go to school, right? You see it with like grandpa's war stories or the 4th of July parade in the small town. You see mom and dad stand up, raise their hand for the national anthem and
the jet flyovers, the military flyovers of the NFL. I mean,
which didn't start till like 2003 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it started after 9/11. Yeah, after 9/11.
But it's multi-generational, so it starts at home because like that's who mom and dad were taught, right? That's who grandpa, the greatest generation, right? The greatest generation taught our parents, and our parents taught us, and kids are passing it down. Parent are tossing it down to the next generation. No, it's multi-generational at this point. Like they had one generation, they took one generation, and indoctrinated them into everything. And look, I mean, it's like what 70 years later, and you got people defending like the Patriot Act and the NDAA and defending 87,000 IRS agents
that are heavily armed. Armed.
That's boring sandwich.
As we covered last week.
Yeah, boring sandwich. I would love to introduce a whole generation of youth to Mises and Rothbard. Early Rothbard or late Rothbard? There's a difference there. Late Rothbard is more Hoppe than early Rothbard. But yeah, thank goodness you didn't say Milton Friedman, because Milton Friedman is actually responsible for the graduational income tax instead of paying it all at once at the end of the year. No. Yeah, both, huh? Little what must be done? Just saying.
Well, the thing is too is like it's if you want to introduce the new generation of that, then do it. Like look at the Tuttle twin books. The Tuttle twins like they had someone go after them, and the publicity from that like doubled their sales in like 6 months or whatever it was. That's Andrew Lloyd, right?
No.
Isn't he?
No. Jack Lloyd. Jack Lloyd.
Sorry, Jack Lloyd.
Jack Lloyd. Somebody else.
Okay. No. All right. I can't remember who writes those books.
I don't know. I'm sure they're on my friends list somewhere.
I know, but that's why I was trying to remember. It's fucking Connor. I knew that. It's Connor Boyack.
Yeah, Connor.
Yeah, that writes those. I was thinking of the Voluntarius comics. That's what I was thinking.
That's Jack Lloyd,
that's what. Yeah. Okay, that's where I was coming from.
Machinery of Freedom should be on every 7th grader's reading list. I agree. Machinery of Freedom, Democracy That God That Failed. We'll throw in Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson.
Dude, you can get Economics in One Lesson, like the little mini paperbacks, for really, really cheap. And there are places you can buy them in bulk. Yep. So just like get a bunch and then start sticking them in all those little free libraries.
Mm-hmm.
Like start slapping them out there. Like there are books out there that specifically and I grew up in the conservative Christian movement and in high school and stuff. So like they had tons of publications that were made available for either free or incredibly cheap, specifically so that you could just go put those out places and just give them to people. Anarchists should be doing the same kind of thing because it fucking works, right? Like the whole reason that I wound up an anarchist, part of the reason was because I found laying on the ground a flyer about why am I Ron Paul. There we go. My brain's like Rand Paul. No, it's not Rand. It's his dad. What's his dad's name? uh, Ron Paul, and it was like, and this was 2014, I want to say, something like that. That like that. That's when I found it, like just sitting there, like I was walking, like I walked to a gas station to grab some food and stuff, and I was walking home, and I found this thing laying there and read it, and that started me on that path. Like all it takes is that one little push for a lot of people. Like the guerrilla marketing kind of thing needs to be a thing that you do, especially with kids in public schools. Like donate copies of von Mises and Rothbard and stuff to like libraries and like school libraries and stuff. Like stick those fuckers in there so that kids can discover them. Like
right in the middle of the LGBT section. Boom, economics.
Yeah.
Transitioning for youngsters. How to do your drag makeup. Economics in one lesson. What's this?
Just like put them places, man. Like get them out there, because
getting canceled for that one. I'm okay with
it. Canceled. You have to have a following to get canceled.
We have 6 people on live right now. It says.
Holy crap! That's
but what you said about growing up conservative Christian, I have to bring this up because I laughed so hard when I saw it. The Atlantic put out an article that the rosary is the new sign of extremism, and they coined a phrase. You're gonna love it. Rad trad. Radical traditionalism.
If you want to discourage people from getting into something, making it sound awesome is probably not the way to go.
The headline, the picture for the headline, it's the rosary, right, with the circle, but the beads are bullet holes. They tie the rosary to gun violence, the rise of toxic masculinity, and rad trad.
I mean, there's a lot of toxic things about the Catholic Church.
I agree.
A lot of toxic things. Like I can't stand Catholics. I can't stand the Catholic Church. Like, and I fucking grew up in Ireland. All right. Like in Catholic neighborhoods, like as a Catholic kid, and I'm just like, nope, fuck that shit. Like, you kidding me? I've seen it from the inside, bro. I want nothing to do with that. But like to compare somebody sitting there with beads and being like, Holy Mary, pray for us, is just comparing that to like some dude walking into a school and shooting. I dropped the link in the article. It's fucking hilarious. But I mean, I've been accused of being like, oh, you're just one of those traditional. I'm like, you understand I'm a twice divorced, non-monogamous, like,
you're a stripper, bro.
My first wife was a stripper. I have an ex-girlfriend who is a porn star. Like, my current girlfriend's a former stripper. Like, what?
Oh, I don't know. It's just, I don't even want to get into the whole article because I haven't read the whole thing. I just read like the first few paragraphs, and I had a good time laughing at it. But anyway,
like me getting called a radical traditionalist feels like
a rad trad.
Yeah, a rad trad feels like Eric July or Mesh Tour, like getting accused of being a white supremacist. You know, like,
well,
where it's like, are you aware of who I am?
That's gonna be the new catch line, right? DVE MVE rad trad.
Rad trad. That sounds. I mean, it sounds pretty cool though.
I want a rad trad patch.
Yeah, like I said, like, well, I have my Let's Get Radical one, my 80s Let's Get Radical. But like,
rad trad.
if you want to discourage people from getting into something, don't make it sound awesome.
Speaking of patches, I saw one earlier on the Tactical Gear Junkie TikTok. It said Taylor Swift dumped me. I want that. I really want that patch.
See, the thing is if you're going to date Taylor Swift, you need to make sure that everything you give her will be orange. The theme of everything will be orange. It's always orange, so she can't possibly rhyme anything in a song with it.
Yes. Oh, man. Yes.
Dude, if I fucking dated Taylor Swift, she'd wind up writing an emo song, motherfucker. Like, just destroyed.
Let's pop some balloons and get this train back on the track. Dems poised to make IRS larger than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Patrol combined.
Why? I can't imagine why they would want that. Especially with all the guns, as we covered last week, all the guns and the bullets that they're buying them.
Hold on.
Did you see the hiring ad for it?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Where it mentions that you have to be willing to get into gunfights and arrest people violently.
They deleted that post, but there's screenshots of it everywhere already.
The internet never forgets, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's oh, damn it, I can't find it now. I can't find it right off the bat either way. But yeah, must be willing to engage. But if Democrats have their way, one of the most detested federal agencies, the Internal Revenue Service, will employ more bureaucrats in the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Patrol combined. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, negotiated by Senator Joe
expanding
Manchin,
the IRS to stop inflation. That's how that works.
It's only like 15 or 20% of it actually deals with inflation. The other 80% of that is all green stuff. Yes. Let's see. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, negotiated by Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat out of West Virginia, the agency would receive $80 billion in funding to hire as many as 87,000 additional employees. The increase would more than double the size of the IRS's workforce, which currently stands at 78,661 full-time staffers, according to federal data. Okay, this is the kicker. Okay, I want you to remember that number, 200 million, or 80 billion, 80 billion. Remember that number, 80 billion. They're spending 80 billion. Remember that number.
To reduce inflation.
Hold on. The additional IRS funding is integral to the Democrats' reconciliation package. A Congressional Budget Office, that's a CBO, analysis found that the hiring of new IRS agents would result in more than $200 billion in additional revenue over the next decade.
So they're spending, right? Yeah, I noticed this too when I was reading through it. I'm like, so and what's the current deficit, national deficit? How many trillions of dollars?
Deficit or debt?
Or debt, the national debt.
The national debt is over 30 trillion. In 2021, the federal government brought in more revenue through taxes than any other time in history, and still ran a $2.5 trillion deficit.
And they're celebrating a few $1 billion a year in increased revenue in exchange for $80 billion in additional spending.
So they're gonna spend $80 billion on IRS agents to bring in an additional $20 billion in revenue per year for the next decade. So just for reference, the federal spending in 2021 was right about $7 trillion. $7 trillion.
Trillion.
And they're going to spend $80 billion to bring in an additional $20 billion worth of revenue per year.
If you spent money the way the federal government spends money, you would go to prison.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff is proof of that.
Enron?
Yes. Yes.
Like this,
Okay,
this is the equivalent of saying, okay, well, I know I have, a debt to income ratio that means that I basically never have any actual money, but and I go into debt every single month. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy this duplex, and I'm going to charge $1,200 a month in rent. Yeah, I know the mortgage is $2,400, but I'm bringing in an additional $1,200 a month.
And my son just sent me a copy of the screenshot of the duties. Adhere to the highest standards of conduct, especially maintaining honesty and integrity.
Because we all think integrity when we think of the IRS.
Work a minimum of 50 hours per week, which may include irregular hours, and be on call 24/7, including holidays and weekends.
Why would the IRS need people who are on call at all times?
To work 50 hours a week?
And working 50 hours? Why on earth would people who are ostensibly just processing paperwork?
Hold on. Maintain a level of fitness necessary to effectively respond to life-threatening situations on the job.
Start to see what they're planning.
Carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force if necessary. Be willing and able to participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments.
See what they're planning yet? You see what's coming down the pipeline?
I mean, they have 5 million rounds of ammunition just sitting there.
But those of us who wear Hawaiian shirts a whole bunch, we're the danger. We're the ones who want a civil war.
Yes. Let's see. Although Democrats say the hiring of additional IRS agents will help root out tax cheats and other criminals, federal tax revenues have steadily risen over the past several decades. Federal tax receipts are projected to hit $5.7 trillion in 2027, up just over from $4 trillion last year without additional IRS agents. Yeah.
The thing is with the inflation the way it is, and we're not just talking about American inflation, right? Like we're talking about global inflation is getting to fucking Weimar Republic levels.
So the U.S. says that inflation, general inflation, not commodity inflation, general inflation right now is about 9.1%. Right, that's the official numbers. But food inflation, according to food executives, is about 15.5%, which really means it's somewhere 18, 19, 20%.
Which is hyperinflation.
Venezuela just went, I think 68% or something like that.
Oh my God.
And then where was the other one? The other one was in, I want to say Argentina.
Argentina. Uncle Adolf in Argentina.
Argentina was 68%. Venezuela hit 685% or 684%, something like that. So Venezuela is in Zimbabwe numbers. And Argentina is heading that direction.
Well, and we all know Zimbabwe currency is definitely where to put your money.
Oh, so. Absolutely. I mean, when you could buy $100 trillion bill on the internet for $5 and it'll buy you like 3 eggs and half a loaf of bread, but you're a trillionaire.
There you go. Yeah, it's Oh, you know, and then on top of that, right, you have world record heat waves and droughts across Europe. I don't know if you saw, but the famine rocks
Like
are currently showing in Germany.
Red wheat production is at like 68%. Winter wheat is, I think, 81% or something like that. Corn, I think corn is low in the United States. Sugar is still high. We still got plenty of sugar.
Of course we do.
And potatoes were still good. So I think we're gonna be okay. Beef is the big one now because of the drought. A lot of ranchers, I think they sold like 25,000 head last month, which is like a record for the month of July or something like that.
Yeah, well, in Germany right now, there's the famine rocks are showing. So the famine rocks, anyone who doesn't know, are these rocks that are in the rivers, and they originate from about 1616, and that drought and subsequent famine, and they all have carved at the very top of them, "If you can read me, weep." Yes. You know that whole read 'em and weep thing? That would be about the rocks from 1616. They made a showing in 1842, 1929.
Yep. Here's the kicker on the Inflation Reduction Act. A report from Moody's Analytics, and you got to understand how much people rely on Moody's Analytics. Moody's Analytics found that the bill will shave just 0.33% from the consumer price index over the next decade.
10 years. And it's a third of 1%.
1/3 of 1%. So we're going to go from 9.1 to, what is it, 8.78 in a decade, yo.
In a decade where inflation is going to continue to rise.
Yes.
This is not only do-somethingism, right? This is the worst form of do-somethingism. It's doing the wrong thing in the name of do-somenthingism.
Oh,
and
God, I can't wait to get Waco'd, bro.
Oh, it's
oh, you know, this is a great precursor. Just talking about this doomsday stuff is a great precursor to next week.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because this is the exact sort of thing Vicky Weaver warned about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they talked about this. They knew this was coming. It's the whole reason they moved where they did was because they knew this was coming. They were a little bit early, but they knew where this was coming.
They were a little bit earlier and they were a little bit rad trad.
Rad trad, bro.
Yeah. They were a little early, a little bit rad trad, but she's not wrong. I don't necessarily think she should have written people and referred to them as the whores of Babylon, but she did her thing and she wasn't exactly wrong. But referencing that, it was next week, August 21st, is the 30th anniversary of Samuel Weaver's murder and the start of the Ruby Ridge standoff. And we are going to have Luke and Typo from Biting the Bullet on. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, it'll be cool as hell.
Yes. And for some reason, they're excited. Whatever that means.
I just switched to the Let's Get Radical patch now.
Let's Get Radical. Yeah. RTA, Rad Tratus Buck. Jesus. Oh. All right, let's go. Wait. Do I want to?
But
no, okay,
you know what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, I mean, what we're looking at, though, is like we're looking at this and this do-somethingism where not only is it not going to help in any appreciable way, it's actually going to make things worse because it's increasing spending and tax burden and everything else. It's setting them up to go to war with American civilians because they see what's coming and the impending economic implosion and what's going to happen there. They're setting up their own personal SA, right? Remember the brown shirts? from Hitler's rise to power. They're setting up their own SA and SS. That's what they're doing.
I shared a meme in a Discord chat earlier, comparing the IRS agents to the SS, and I got told that it was an unfair comparison.
Well, yeah, I mean, the SS were effective.
Oh,
the SS were actually scary. That's an unfair comparison. The SS were scary. But they were also incredibly stylish. Thanks, Hugo Boss. Yeah, don't forget, Hugo Boss designed all of their uniforms.
Oh,
yay. You know who else really helped with a lot of designing for Nazis? Chanel. Coco fucking Chanel was a hardcore Nazi. The Ferdinand Porsche built a lot of tanks for the Nazis. But Henry Ford licensed the motors that ran all of their trucks. Yay! But you know, the thing is, though, is like this, what we're seeing, though, is we're seeing the government starting to posture and get ready for the collapse that they know is coming and they know they can't stop. And if you're paying attention, you see all of the droughts, you see the record heat waves, you see, because I mean, every day they find another body in Lake Mead because the water keeps falling. They keep talking about, the food shortages because Russia is cutting everybody off, and the fuel shortages because Russia is cutting everybody off.
Did you see Russia with the Ukraine? Ukraine was able to get out a full shipment of grain. Right? Ukraine is one of the world's largest grain producers.
Oh yeah, they're the breadbasket of Europe.
Right? So Russia said, yeah, sure, go ahead, right? And they allowed Ukraine to get out a full shipment of grain. And then launched 4 missiles into the granary so that they couldn't get any more grain out.
You get one. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're seeing. And the reality is that what we're actually probably seeing with Ukraine and with the invasion of Ukraine is probably actually Putin having seen this coming and going, I need to get my hands on that farmland again.
Yeah,
that needs to be brought back into Russian control.
But speaking of Radtrad, Moscow, in the last 10 years, Moscow has had over 100 new churches built. I'm just saying.
Radtrad. They're seeing what's coming, is what's going on. And there's a lot of countries are becoming much more insular because they're going, hey, we need to worry about how we take care of ourselves.
China
wants Taiwan.
China is buying everything it can in terms of food.
Like
the soy market went up it was like 31 cents a bushel or something like that because China placed such a large order.
And you can also see how the environmental pressures are hitting because global population growth is slowing so much. And what we're seeing a bunch of nations posture. Don't forget what happened, right? The last time we had all these severe droughts in Europe was 1929.
Yep.
Does that year sound a little familiar?
Yeah. Additionally, U.S. cropland hit a record price at $5,050 per acre.
This is what you're seeing is an impending implosion of the global economy. You're going to see starvation. You're going to see riots and rebellions and revolutions and civil wars.
Scott says they're still buying land. That's a reference to my comment on China. China owns about 144,000 acres of U.S. farmland.
China is brilliant in the way they buy land too. So what the Chinese government does is they show up to a developing country, go, hey, we're going.
That's because China sucks at growing.
Right. And they're like, well, here's what we're going to do is we're going to loan you a whole shit ton of money, right? To be able to build new infrastructure and all these cool things and everything else. We're going to give you all this money. And as long as you pay it back, awesome. But if you don't pay it back by this time, we get all of this land from your country. And all these countries are agreeing. Well, they're all going to default on the loans, at which point China just gets all of that land. They get to conquer hundreds of millions of acres of land for no actual, like, they don't have to go to war over it. They just get it.
Yep. So okay, how about we move on? Let's get a white pill in here. Let's get some good news. Hacker finds kill switch. What is it?
The Dacia Sandero. It's a Top Gear reference.
Yes. Hacker finds kill switch for submachine gun wielding robot dog. Suck it, Skynet.
Hack the world.
Yeah, to defeat the enemy without fighting. Some Sun Tzu guy. Yeah. That's what they're doing with the indoctrination. They don't have to fight people to get them in line. They just have to change it, control their minds.
Yep.
In July, a video of a robot dog with a submachine gun strapped to its back terrified the internet. It actually did. Now a hacker who posts on Twitter as KFDO/ and GitHub has discovered that the robot dog contains a kill switch and it can be accessed through a tiny handheld tracking device or tiny handheld hacking device.
Sweet.
Yes. It was made by Unitary Robotic, and you can in the video / showed one of the Unitary robot dogs hooked up to a power supply. A hand comes into frame holding the Flipper Zero Tamagotchi-like multi-tool hacking device that you can send and receive wireless signals across RFID, Bluetooth, NFC, and other bands. A button is pushed on the flipper, and the robot dog seizes up and falls to the ground.
Yes. Winning.
Yes. Motherboard reached out to / to find out how they hacked the robot dog. The power supply in the video is an external power source. He said, quote, literally a 24-volt external power supply, so I'm not constantly charging the battery while doing development. So every dog ships with a remote cutoff switch attached to its power distribution board, the part of the machine that routes power from the battery to its various systems.
Because they don't want their Android murder bot to accidentally murder them. So it's got a remote kill switch built in, but because it has a remote kill switch built in, if you can figure out how to access it, you can turn it off yourself.
The kill switch listens for a particular signal at 433 megahertz. If it hears the signal, it shuts down the robot.
Boom.
So 433 megahertz. So start studying because we're going to have to fight them in the future.
See, and this is why, this demonstrates why I think Raspberry Pi in particular was so revolutionary to the computing world, is suddenly having the ability, like, was it Arduino and Raspberry Pi, like those have revolutionized the ability to have small handmade home built devices that are capable of doing things like this. And they're cheap. They're easy to figure out. They're easy to wire up and they're fantastic.
Boring Sandwich says Flipper is open source. And it can communicate on every frequency under 1 gigahertz. Nice.
Which means even if they change it up, you just got to find the new frequency.
Scan fast.
Yeah. And boom, there it is. But I mean, that's the thing though, is like, there's, that the thing is that like those little tiny, the little tiny computers that you can get with Raspberry Pi, that you can get with Arduino, you can get this stuff that allows you to create these things. Stocking up on those, because they're real cheap too. Stocking up on them might not be a bad decision.
You can put a box of them right next to the freeze-dried corn.
Yeah, see? And whole box of those and wires and soldering irons, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can run a soldering iron for quite a while on a solar power pack. So, you can still build this shit.
If you get a big enough Fresno lens, you don't need a soldering iron either.
Well, yeah, I mean, that you gotta depend on the sun and a lot of. I don't think that's maybe the most ideal.
There you go.
But look, I'm soldering just like the founding fathers did. I don't know that that's necessarily, but
yeah. All right, how about another white pill?
Sure.
Kansas Supreme Court denies self-defense to Wichita officer who hurt 9-year-old girl. Kansas Supreme Court ruled unanimously that a former Wichita police officer will face felony charges in a shooting that wounded a 9-year-old girl, setting a new precedent that allows officers to be held criminally liable for injuring innocent bystanders, even if they say they're acting in self-defense.
Oh, you mean like, I don't know, what fucking always should have been the case?
You and I would be held responsible.
The average person would absolutely be responsible.
Yep. Former Officer Dexter Betts fired 2 gunshots at a family dog while securing the interior of a Wichita home during a domestic violence investigation in December 2017. Betts missed both times, but one of the bullets ricocheted off the concrete floor and hit the girl, one of 3 children in the room at the time, above the eye and in her foot.
So he shot a little girl in the face.
Yes, and the foot. Betts, quote, Betts argued state law immunizes his use of deadly force in self-defense, even if he acted recklessly in regards of who got hurt. The district court agreed and dismissed the case while the state appealed. A court of appeals panel affirmed on review, reversed the grant of statutory immunity, and remand the case to the district court for further proceedings. That's according to the Supreme Court opinion. So,
well, yeah, because the state wanted to prosecute him and thought he was acting recklessly. But see, that's the thing, though, is that the precedent up to this point really has been, whether a cop is acting completely recklessly or not, they're immune from prosecution for anything they do.
Yes. Unanimous decision written by Justice Dan Biles reads, quote, "The statute does not extend immunity for reckless acts resulting in unintended injury to innocent bystanders while the defendant engaged in self-defense with a perceived aggressor."
Yeah, which again,
quote here. This is the meat and potato. This is where it really matters. Quote: "Statutory immunity is confined to circumstances where the use of such force is against a person or the thing reasonably believed to be an aggressor."
Rather than just firing wildly.
Yeah, the little girl was a bystander. She wasn't attacking the cop, so she is not the aggressor. So the use of force against her is not part of the statute. So, which is good.
That's the way realistically, that is the way that it should be, because that's the way that it is for the average person. Like, if you're defending yourself, that's one thing, but if you're acting recklessly and stupid, you still get prosecuted. If your actions recklessly harm others, you should be prosecuted. Like, you recklessly caused harm to people. You did something that you knew was stupid, that was going to hurt people, and despite knowing that, you did it anyway, and people got hurt. That's on you.
Yep. So, on that note, it's now time to hurt your feelings.
Oh boy.
This is the hidden article that I never tell you about.
Well, I'm still listening. I'll be back in a second, but I'm still listening. I can still hear you.
Trying to be a good citizen, woman fined $500 after taking lost dog to Lake County Animal Shelter. A Lake County woman says she's facing a $500 fine after she tried to rescue a dog. Hunter Files says she was just trying to do the right thing when she was on her way to Publix on the 4th of July and saw a dog in the middle of the road. Quote, "There's no way you could just leave a dog," Files said. The mother of 3 says she took the dog home for the night but wasn't able to keep it. Quote, I ended up contacting Lake County Animal Services, and they would not pick the dog up because I found the dog in Orange County. File says she attempted to contact Orange County Animal Services, but they took several days just to call her back. When another attempt to meet with representatives of the Orange County shelter fell through, File says she posted the lost dog on Facebook and then took it back to the Lake County shelter, which is closer to where she lives. Quote, we live so close to the border of Orange County and Lake County. Lake County is closest to me, so that just seemed what's natural to me. Days later, File was slapped with a $500 fine due to her providing false information to the animal control about where the dog was found.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Quote, I was trying to be a good citizen and turn a dog into a shelter conveniently located to me. File admits she lied on the intake form and said the dog was found in Lake County. When asked how they learned File had lied, Animal Services released a statement saying, quote, without discussing details, we have a good relationship with law enforcement.
Uh-huh.
So because she found the dog in one county and took it to the animal shelter that was closest to her, which is in a different county, and said she found it in that county so that they would accept the dog, she got a $500 fine for trying to save a dog's life.
Well, and keep in mind, again, the shelter that was in the county that she did find it didn't care.
They didn't care. They didn't call her back.
They wouldn't call her back. They wouldn't nothing. They wouldn't respond. Like, so she did what was best by the dog, and no good deed goes unpunished when the government is involved.
Yes, a $500 fine for trying to save a dog's life.
I mean, if that's my dog and he's gotten out, right? I don't care what shelter you take him to, especially if you put on Facebook, like, hey, I found this dog. Here's where I found him, blah, blah, blah. Somebody hopefully will be able to let me know, hey, here's where your dog is. Go get it.
Yes.
And I can go get my dog back. You know, like, I'm a bleeding heart for dogs. Like, there is a while back, I posted, you guys saw it, where I had that dog show up and just like say hi to me as I was outside of work the one day. And I'm like, where did you come from? And like,
why can't I keep you?
Yeah, he was such a good dog. But like, and I couldn't find anybody around who seemed to be looking for him or anything else. And I'm like, you escaped, didn't you little shit? Okay. Well, so like I had to have him in the lobby of my office just running around. And like go out to my truck, and thankfully my truck has tons of survival stuff in it, so I could grab some rope from my truck and cut that and make a makeshift leash for him and take him out so he could go potty and everything in the front yard of my office. But like, and I held on to him, called the Humane Society. I'm like, hey, I don't know where he's from. He just showed up, like he materialized all of a sudden, and no one seems to be looking for him. So, but he's definitely like, he had like a vest, like leash thing on him. Like he's clearly somebody's dog. And yeah, and like somebody's going to be looking for him, and he's really well behaved, and he's definitely potty trained, everything. Like, and he's really friendly. So he's definitely somebody's dog, but I don't know where he came from. Held on to him till they could come get him, that he got there, you know, made sure that the Humane Society was going to throw it on Facebook. He wound up reunited with mom the next day. Yay.
Yay.
But
sorry.
But now
imagine getting a $500 fine for it.
Yeah, but the idea that could result in a $500 fine because the original Humane Society, or the Humane Society that I might try to take him to, doesn't care that I'm trying to take care of this dog, is disgusting.
And the one closer to you wouldn't take him, even though it's closer to you, closer to where you found him, because it's in a different county.
Because the imaginary line matters for the dog, right?
Yes. Imaginary lines matter.
That is ridiculous. I mean, oh, just absolutely insane. I mean, if I found a dog on the county line, right on the county line, and I don't think it should matter which side of that county line I take that dog to for for the shelter, for the owner to then go retrieve them. Yes. Like, I mean, and it took days for them to even call it. Like, she had already taken the dog to the other shelter by the time the shelter that it should have gone to even bothered to contact her back. Days. That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, and it would be one thing if they were like, hey, look, we really probably shouldn't take the dog in because you didn't necessarily find them in this county, but we'll do it, to be sure that they're okay. But clearly the Orange County Humane Society, as well as the state government of California, does not care about anything, including dogs.
No, they hate dogs. Government hates dogs. Look up the term puppycide. Puppycide. Puppycide.
I'm really sad that documentary never got made. It really needed to get made.
Yep.
It still does. It deserves to get made.
Yep. Speaking of things that do not deserve to get made, what are the 4 rules of gun safety?
Definitely point the gun at yourself. Never check if it's loaded. Make sure that you aim it wildly at things and pull the trigger occasionally.
Turn it sideways.
Yep, turn it sideways when you aim.
If you pump your hand when you're doing it, the bullets go faster.
If you're taking the time, if you're taking the time to be sure what you're aiming at, you're taking too much time.
Yep, aiming is for autists.
Yeah, you don't aim, never aim.
Yep. Treat all firearms as though they're loaded. Never let the muzzle cover anything that you're not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on target and you have made the decision to shoot. Be sure of your target and what's behind it. Right? Standard. And if you treat all firearms as though they're loaded, then that covers all of the rules, right?
I mean, are you kidding? I have a pair of squirt guns that I practice proper trigger discipline with.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
there are photos.
The cleaning bottles.
Yeah. Because for my family reunion, right, I had my cool Noveski squirt guns, right? And I took those and even with those, like, I felt weird about actually intentionally pointing and firing them at people, and they're shooting water. Like, that's how hammered in those rules of gun safety are to me.
So, the gun used in the fatal shooting of the Rust movie set cannot have been fired without pulling the trigger. That is according to FBI forensic report. Actor Alec Baldwin shot cinematographer Hanya Hutchins on the set of The Western, which was producing and starring last year. The actor believed he was handling a, quote, cold gun, that is one without live ammunition, when it went off and a live bullet struck Hutchins, killing her. The film's director, Joel Souza, was also wounded in the shooting. It
was a Colt single action army.
Yes.
Of course it only went off when he pulled the fucking trigger. It's a single action.
Yes. Accidental discharge testing determined that the firearm used in the shooting, that is a 45 Colt single action revolver, could not have fired without the trigger being pulled, according to the FBI report. With the hammer in the quarter and half-cocked positions, the gun, quote, could not be made to fire without a pull of the trigger, the report stated. With the hammer fully cocked, the gun, quote, could not be made to fire without pulling the trigger, while the working internal components were intact and functional.
Yep, because it's a single-action army. You can't...
Yes.
With that gun doesn't go off on its own.
With the hammer decocked on a loaded chamber, the gun was able to detonate a primer, quote, without a pull of the trigger when the hammer was struck directly. Well, this is normal for this type of revolver, the report said.
Well, and remember that Baldwin claimed, one, that he never touched the trigger.
He said.
But remember his tearful.
The trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull that trigger. That's his quote.
Except that eyewitnesses also said he was laughing at the director and went, well, why don't I just shoot you then? And then aimed and pulled the trigger. Yes. Also remember that the gun guy on the set has a history of safety violations.
The armorer, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the budget, they used a rookie armorer is what it is.
Was it right? Because I'm pretty sure like somebody said that the company that they're associated with has a history of this.
The people that were there first had a history of that, and it got so bad that like the actors threatened to boycott that they brought in new people, and it was a rookie armorer.
But who then had a gun with live ammunition in it on the set of a film.
Either way, the gun would not have fired if he did not pull that trigger.
Yeah. It wouldn't have.
Yes.
You know, and so he definitely aimed at something that he was not supposed to be aiming at and pulled the trigger. Mr. Alec, I hate guns. I'm anti-gun. I'm going to protest guns constantly. Baldwin murdered someone by aiming a gun recklessly at them and pulling the trigger. Something none of us gun guys would do.
Yeah. The attorney for Hannah Gutierrez Reed, that she was the charge of the weapons on the Rust set, said the FBI's report contradicted Baldwin's claim that he didn't pull the trigger. Attorney Jason Bowles, he is he's the attorney for Hannah. He said, quote, "These new filings demonstrate various production members' attempts from the very beginning to shirk responsibility and scapegoat Hannah, a 24-year-old armorer, for this tragedy. Hannah was tasked with doing two jobs, including prop assistant and the very important job of armorer, but not giving adequate time and training days to do so, despite repeated requests or the respect required of the armorer's position and responsibilities." So, yeah.
Well, and why is there, you know, from the get-go, a lot of anyone who's ever worked on a Hollywood film or any kind of a film with guns was saying, myself included, was saying, why was there a gun with live ammunition on the set? Why was that a thing that existed at all? That absolutely, like, no, that shouldn't be a thing, right? Like, that shouldn't happen. And yes. It's a revolver, right? It's a revolver, which means you don't even need a full blank charge or any kind of, like, you don't actually really need a significant bore inside that barrel to make a good flash when that goes off, because you're not worried about running an action like you are with a semi-automatic. It's an SAA, so you have to pull that hammer back to fire it. Mm-hmm. And Baldwin admitted that it was at half cock, right? If it's at half cock, there's a half cock notch. That doesn't just fall forward with enough force to detonate the primer.
Which is what the FBI report said. At half cock, they could not get it to fire without pulling the trigger.
You need it at half cock, pull the trigger so it works that hammer back the rest of the way, and then lets it fly in order to get enough speed that it detonates the fulminating compound in the primer in order to set off the round. You can't just bump it. It has to be a full force from that hammer. That's an intentional design of the SAA.
And a technological limitation of the time.
Well, no, it's not technological. It's intentional. Like, that was built into it for safety, because remember, the SAAs are being distributed to officers in the American Army who might not necessarily be the most safe people in the world with a firearm or a
boring sandwich says held the trigger down when he pulled the hammer back. Entirely possible. He might have, yeah. It's if he's got the hammer down already, the cylinder's indexed, and he just pulls that hammer back and lets it go. Yeah, it's because you can fan an SAA. Yeah. That is possible, but either way, he intentionally did that. He caused it to fire. It was not
a malfunction of the weapon. It was functioning correctly. He did that.
Yeah. So let's jump into this last article. We got about half an hour before all that other stuff. So because we autist for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Rising constitutional carry is a sign of failing trust in government.
Woohoo!
Yes. Come next January, Alabama will be the 25th state to allow concealed carry without a permit. Alabama will soon join Indiana, which in March of this year passed a new statute allowing permitless. I had a Biden moment, sorry. Come next January, Alabama will be the 25th state to allow concealed carry without a permit. Alabama will soon join Indiana, which in the March of this year passed a new statute allowing permitless concealed carry, sometimes called constitutional carry. In 2021 alone, 6 states passed their own provisions legalizing permitless concealed carry: Arkansas, Iowa, Montana, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. Montana has the Firearms Freedom Act, concealed carry, and legal cannabis. I'm putting that out there.
All the freedoms.
Yes. Essentially, any law-abiding citizen over a certain age, usually 18 or 21, can now carry a concealed firearm in these states. 20 years ago, only Vermont allowed unrestricted concealed carry. Over the last 10 years, however, more than 20 states have adopted new laws deregulating the carrying of firearms. Technically, it's not a deregulation because it's a government law allowing it, but there's still limitations on it. So it's not a deregulation. There
are certain restrictions still. So it's not. I mean, even calling it constitutional carry isn't quite correct in most states.
Yes,
not all states, but in most states.
Yes, permitless carry is more accurate.
Yes, so, which is more in line with the Constitution, but they still restrict it, like around schools, which historically has worked out so well. They still restrict it in government buildings. They still restricted a bunch of other places.
Some places, I think. Where was it? Minnesota. Minnesota just voted to remove a law that restricted the carrying of firearms in the state buildings.
I guess I can see that being Minnesota. I don't know if that's that's right across the river from me. It's Wisconsin, thankfully, is still pretty chill about it. So like we're one of the last ones to even get concealed carry at all, which is ridiculous.
Concealed carry in California.
California was a May issue state before Wisconsin was even anything.
Yes.
To put that in perspective and how ridiculous that is. But we finally got it, and occasionally sometimes some of us may forget that we're wearing and walk into like a courthouse, and then before we go through the metal detector go, oops, and they go, hey, I'm carrying, can I leave it with you guys? And they're pretty chill about it. They're like, yeah, that's just leave it with us, and we'll give it back to you when you go to leave. Okay, cool.
I can't tell you the number of times I went, oh fuck.
Stop at the door and just rotate on your heel and walk back to the car.
When I pull up in the car, like to the doctor's office, I pull up in the car and I go to get out and I feel things and I go, oh, oh shit.
Oops. Yeah.
I have to leave this here.
No, the worst I had was walking into a courthouse strapped and realizing as I was coming through the door, and I was still strapped. I didn't really want to walk all the way back to my car because parking downtown sucks. So I'm like, can I leave this with you and just come get it again because I just got to walk right there to the clerk of courts real quick. And they're like, yeah, just leave it with us as long as you don't bring it in there, like whatever. And so here you go.
When I was 23 or 24, I walked into to the courthouse in Butte County and tried to go through the metal detector with my K-bar. And that was like 2002, 2003, right after 9/11.
Yeah, that's the perfect time to do that. Yeah. That's oopsie doodles.
Yes.
Um,
Back to the article. Why is this happening now? On the most simple level, these laws have passed because lawmakers and constituents at the state level have advocated for them. Moreover, whatever opposition exists among interest groups and the public has been insufficient to block their passage. On a deeper ideological level, increased ease of concealed carry is likely the result of a growing feeling among much of the public that they need increased access to firearms for self-protection. In other words, the spread of constitutional carry points to a growing sentiment that state and local authorities are insufficient to provide a reasonable expectation of safety from violent crime, and the private self-defense is therefore more necessary now than in the past.
you guys figured it out. Yay!
Yay! You just literally quoted Heller.
Yeah.
Oh.
You mean that when the Supreme Court rules again and again and again and again and again, the police are under absolutely no obligation to protect you. They demonstrate that they will not protect you, and the government is proving that it's in fact hostile to you protecting even yourself, that people might want to be armed?
Dave says, successfully carried in the Sears Tower. I told him it was my insulin pump.
That is awesome.
Show us your insulin pump. Insulin pump. Nah, HIPAA, bro. HIPAA.
Yeah, I'm not under any obligation to show you that.
Yeah. Moreover, many of the laws expanding concealed carry have been passed over local law enforcement's objections.
Well,
oh, it gives me a hard on. Police organizations have been among the most vocal opponents of new constitutional carry measures, yet Republican lawmakers, a group often happy to fall all over themselves announcing how much they back the blue, have passed these laws anyway. The continued spread of constitutional carry suggests that even among conservatives, there are limits to supporting law enforcement on a vague philosophical level. Rather, the passage of these laws suggests a growing lack of faith that even well-meaning law enforcement can or will provide meaningful defense for violent criminals when the need arises. Just Uvalad. That's. Do we have to say anything more?
Yeah, you just look at Uvalde and you look at the fact that there are 400 police who did nothing. Like, gee, I can't imagine. Fucking Marjorie Stoneman Douglas years ago, right? The SRO went and hid. Yep. The police aren't under any obligation to protect you. They're not your friends. They're not there to help you. They are not there to assist you. They do not care. They are there to punish you. They are not there to help you or save you at all.
To piggyback,
there was video this week of I want to say it was from Chicago. I could be wrong. Of police standing there listening to a woman screaming as she's being raped.
That is New Orleans, and that was what I was going to bring up.
New Orleans. Yeah.
And the article is from yesterday. New Orleans officer suspended with pay after a bystander said he did nothing when alerted that a woman was being assaulted nearby. Bystander told 911 dispatch that the officer didn't move when she told him about the rape. Quote, he's still just parked there. Officer had been suspended, claiming failed to respond to a rape of an unconscious woman on a nearby corner from his car.
Yeah, and this chick is like screaming at him, like, what are you doing? Why are you not? And she's like, well, apparently he's just going to sit here. He's not going to do anything.
Yeah, the attacker got away before the bystander approached the officer. But either way, police have no duty or obligation to protect. That is according to SCOTUS, Supreme Court, and they've ruled on that eight or 9 times.
Yeah, it's been quite a few. Remember years ago, there was that serial killer in New York who was stabbing people to death, and started attacking that dude
on the subway train. There's 2 cops behind the door just watching,
and they wouldn't do anything until the guy had subdued his attacker himself.
While bleeding.
And remember, as I always say, the only knife fight that you win is when you don't get into.
Yeah, yeah, that's accurate.
The reality is, like, this dude had to defend himself, and he took the NYPD to court, and he lost because they aren't under any obligation to protect you.
Yep.
Warren v. DC. She was attacked by her ex after notifying the police that he was going to attack her, and lost when she sued because they're not under any obligation to protect you.
Yep.
Castle Rock. Yeah.
Gonzalez. Winnebago.
I mean, the list goes on
one
and
here in
on.
Alameda County. Parkland. Parkland's a new one.
Yeah. The parents et al. V of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School versus Broward County Sheriffs. Again, under no obligation to protect you. And that one goes further than Warren v. DC, because Warren v. DC says unless a pre-existing arrangement exists, the police are under no obligation to protect you. A pre-existing agreement did exist with that RSO for the school. And the court said, nope, still no obligation, even with a pre-existing arrangement with the police. They're not under any obligation to protect you. And it's no wonder that with all of that happening and the demonstrations over and over and over again, that the police not only aren't under an obligation, but are completely unwilling, transparently unwilling to help anyone and protect anyone, that everyone wants to arm themselves and realize that their best protectors are them.
Dave is in the chat, so I got to show off my new patch I just got from Poppins.
The right to peacefully assemble.
Yes.
Nice. To know about that Magpul forend on there, but yeah.
it is what it is. It's a nice patch. It's a nice patch. I like it. But yeah, no duty to protect, right? Because they're not. That's why most of them. That's why they don't have protect and serve on the side of the cars anymore, right? Because there's no duty to protect. They're law enforcement, not
protectors. My favorite thing that's happened recently to that point is that guy that was driving the replica of the Transformers police car that says to subjugate and enslave on the side, and he was arrested for impersonating a police officer.
There was the one in Florida not too long ago where it said the guy had the big window sticker that said "Cop suck dick" or something like that, and they pulled him over and he took him to court and he won on the First Amendment.
I really love the "only gay cops pull me over" sticker.
There's a patch. I think it's Tactical Gear Junkie that says "You're gay if you shoot me," or "You're gay if you arrest me." There's another one like that. Yeah. But
but I mean, like, this is a symptom. Again, this is a symptom of not only is the government seeing the impending collapse, but civilians are seeing the impending collapse and seeing the government's response and recognizing it for what it is.
Bro, do you have the article open in front of you?
I do not.
Okay, because
that's
literally the next paragraph.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah. The survey data continues to point out that declining public faith in public institutions, and that includes law enforcement and the legal system. As faith in these institutions falls, the perceived need to provide one's own defense naturally increases. And as one sociologist puts it, quote, legal cynicism leads to greater demand for protective gun ownership, and lower levels of police legitimacy are significantly related to a higher probability of acquiring a firearm for protection. That toes in line with post 2020, post Floyd, right? All that good stuff. That the increase in gun ownership among minorities is like 54% or something like that. They're the fastest growing demographic among firearm owners. You following what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, the people who are historically marginalized are always the people who are also historically denied the right to own weapons, right? That's what always happens. And so we're seeing that really be, borne out by this massive increase in Black firearms ownership, and we're seeing a proliferation of firearms on Native reservations and within Hispanic communities and law-abiding communities of that effect too. So not just, not just communities that historically a lot of people like to associate with large amounts of firearms ownership, where it's white, the white middle class and stuff. We're seeing that happen in lower classes. We're seeing that happen even in really upper classes, which historically have kind of had their own security and stuff. They're also buying their own guns now. We're seeing a lot of that. And I think that's entirely a good thing. Yeah, the more guns there are, the better.
You still picking me up?
Yeah, I can't see you.
Okay.
But I can hear you.
Oh, nobody needs to see me. It's not pretty. But my computer's having a conniption fit with my camera.
Wee.
Let's see. How about now?
I
don't know. Whatever.
You're back now.
Am I? I'm sorry. Okay. Required fire protection, yeah. In the worst cases, there have even led to extra legal, quote, self-help with a firearm. The phenomenon has been explored by historian Rudolph Roth, who notes that the declining perceptions of state legitimacy can lead to a higher violent crime rates. That is, when private citizens believe that official coercion will be insufficient to restrain criminals, they may feel the need to take matters into their own hands.
Gosh, imagine that.
Fuck you, boring sandwich.
Yeah, I know. That's how I was laughing as I saw the potato.
he's just dropping potato emojis in the chat.
Potato podcast.
Most professional.
And again, you and Chris are the ones having all kinds of issues. I'm normally the one fighting with my computers, so I don't know what's going on, man.
You're already potato by default.
Yeah, dude. Actually, I just laughed about that the other night too. Speaking of being a potato, because my mother-in-law, I'll call her my mother-in-law for the sake of simplicity. She was talking about having watched Lone Survivor for the first time, and Lindsay's like, well, Andrew. No, she's like, yeah, Mom, I know that. Andrew knows Marcus Luttrell, like he's met him, is familiar with him. And I was like, he's a fat potato like me now. We both got fat after we got out. Yay!
Oh, we know, boring sandwich. Just fucking with you. I send potatoes with love, I promise.
Love potatoes. It's an Irish sign of marriage proposal, actually. It's love potatoes. It's
I'm not opposed to it.
They used to call tomatoes, love apples. So maybe, I don't know what would be a love potato other than just a potato, to be honest. Red potatoes, maybe? I don't know.
More of it, crime data. Crime data in some cases suggest a correlation between gun ownership and high crime. Advocates of gun control naturally interpret this correlation as evidence that guns cause more crime, yet the casualty more likely runs in the other direction. More crime leads to more people arming themselves.
Yep.
Statistical studies are insufficient to prove causality in either case.
Bullshit. The FBI already ran, and the DOJ ran a major study, a 15-year study that proved that more guns in private hands equals less crime.
That was literally the next couple paragraphs.
Oh, okay. Well, see? I'm on top of shit, man. Everybody else is the one fucking up tonight. I am on top of shit.
Says the guy that was late. A RAND study on gun violence notes, quote, whether the correlation between guns and crime is attributed to gun prevalence causing more violent crime is unclear. If people are more likely to acquire guns when crime rates are rising or high, then the same pattern of evidence suggests would be expected. Existing research studies and data included in a wealth of descriptive information on homicide, suicide, and firearms, but before the limitations of existing data and methods do not credibly demonstrate a causal relationship between the ownership of the firearms and the causes or prevention of violent crime or suicide. So as crime goes up, people want firearms to protect themselves. It's not people acquire firearms and then crime goes up.
Yeah. Or, you know, as crime, I mean, before that, as crime goes up, people want swords. Like,
I'm going to open,
you know, it's
battle axe.
Warhammer.
No reloading on the battle hammer.
Yeah. Remember, you don't need to reload a blade. That's post-apocalyptic tip number 1. I have to laugh. Boring Sandwich mentioning the using the potatoes as a battery in Portal. Like, and he was Gladys with, oh, that's fine for you. I'm a potato. If you haven't played Portal 2, you're missing out, man. And Portal 1, they're great. The cake is a lie.
Nerd.
Dude, they're great puzzle games, all right? They're a lot of fun. They're absolutely hilarious. They have what's his name? The late great oh god, why am I spacing on his name? Guy? Anyway, he was the actor. He was on like a Fish Called Wanda, or not A Fish Called Wanda. Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman. Those movies. He was in. He's been in a bunch of movies. Anyway, he's hilarious, and he's the voice of Cave Johnson in that game. But yeah, it's obviously, I mean, as far as, you know, people want to protect themselves when they're in more danger. That's called common sense. I don't know why you needed a scientific survey to figure this one out, but obviously people want to protect themselves. And the anti-gun lobby loves to try and manipulate statistics, you know, and statistics can say anything you want them to say.
Yeah, just like the COVID regime did, and the climate change Nazis do, and all that good stuff. It's manipulation of data is how people advocate these days.
Yeah, they take and they're like, well, the numbers don't lie. Well, the numbers themselves can't lie because the numbers say nothing. It's your interpretation of those numbers that you can lie about. The numbers are just the numbers. You are the one interpreting that data, and you are taking the data and you are misinterpreting it deliberately.
Yeah, to fit the functionality of your beliefs.
Right, because everybody's got presuppositions, right? They all have a worldview. You know, and the worldview is it's your glasses. It's the lens through which you view everything. And if your lenses are filtering,
that can be filtered back to when we're talking about public indoctrination, and
right, exactly. Yeah. Yep, and that's the thing is like that's going to taint everything that you look at, and tint it to whatever you want it to, or whatever your presuppositions say the world should be. And it takes something pretty earth-shattering to alter that. Well, if you're looking at through the lens of more guns equals more violence, because that's what was hammered into you, and that's what you've been trained to believe, despite the fact that the evidence just is evidence, it doesn't matter because it's up to interpretation of how this works.
Yeah, and people have their own people have their preferred interpreter.
Right, and it's really easy to misinterpret causality.
Yeah.
Like, you know, correlation doesn't equal causation. So it's really easy to misinterpret causality and say, well, this clearly equals this. You know, I mean, you could argue that the United States showing up in the 1840s to force Japan to open up to global trade resulted in the United States having to drop an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That there's a correlation, but that doesn't necessarily equal causation. It's not a direct line. There are things there. There are other mitigating factors. You know, you could argue that red cars make people speed. Driving a red car makes people speed because more red cars than any other color vehicle are pulled over for speeding every year in the United States. It's not that the red cars make people speed, it's that they're the ones that get noticed.
They're
speeding.
Yeah. That's why you don't buy red vehicles.
Yeah, the wonderful story that I saw a guy tell the other day, where he's talking about going on a, it wasn't a gumball or cannonball, I forget what it was, but it was like one of those kinds of runs. And everyone else's cars were like gray and black, like flat black and flat gray and just real muted colors. And he had this bright green car and he kept getting pulled over and no one else did. And it's not that the green car was speeding more than the other cars, therefore the color green makes you speed. It's that the color green is the one getting noticed by everybody. It's the one that everybody remembers, so it's the one that gets stopped constantly. It's correlation doesn't equal causation, and if you want to deliberately misinterpret things, you certainly can. It's real easy to do. It's intellectually dubious, but you can do it.
Gray van theory.
The gray van theory. Funny story about that, actually. That makes this even funnier.
I would say white pickup.
Oh, the gray van. This is why this is so funny. So a buddy of mine had a I want to say like 94, something like that, Ford van that came with a big 302 in it, the truck version of the 302. Or no, sorry, it was a 351. It was 351 Windsor that was in it. And he'd thrown a bunch of hopped up stuff on it and everything else. Like it had a Demon Carb 4-barrel on it and all this other shit. It was fucking monster, right? So this thing would lay 11s for blocks if you wanted it to. We're on this bridge and we're sitting there and there's like a light and we're sitting there at the end of this bridge, and sitting across from us is a cop, and on the right side going across here is like a Mustang, and the Mustang just pulls out and around as it comes up, and then it goes green, and we lay black marks, and we watch the lights on the cop come on, and he pulls over the Mustang.
All right, let me get this last paragraph. The continual spread of constitutional carry is, of course, related to the surge we've seen in private ownership overall. For example, Americans in 2020 and 2021 went on what CNN called a, quote, gun buying spree. This includes a 58% spike in gun purchases among black men and women in 2021. Violent and destructive, mostly peaceful protests exposed police limited ability to do much other than protect government property during the periods of unrest. In the wake of lockdowns which shut down vital institutions such as churches and schools, crime surged in the U.S. and not just in the, quote, usual places like urban cores. Police legitimacy also suffered a serious blow with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies' abject failure at the Uvalde school shooting in May this year. The officers who choose to do nothing while children were massacred will likely face no serious repercussions, and this will further highlight that police officers are under no legal obligation to actually protect the public from violent crime. It's no wonder that permitless carry continues to make gains in American states. In the past, Americans may have simply trusted the regime to provide, quote, law and order, but the sentiment is apparently becoming more and more rare.
Yeah, yes. That's fuck cops is becoming a much more seen thing, and it should.
The 1312 club went really, really silent when the cops were enforcing mask and vaccine mandates.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep. All right, I'm out of tea, so let's finish up and get out of here, huh? Unless you got something else to say. We got like 5.5 minutes on the 2 hour, so I can let you rant if you want to rant. You want to rant?
I don't really have anything to rant about. I mean, I think we pretty much said what we needed to say. That's
a dead horse. But
Yeah.
I do before we get out of here, I do want to reiterate that next week, or next Sunday, August 21st, again is the 30th anniversary of Samuel Weaver's murder and the start of the Ruby Ridge standoff. We will have a full house. We're planning on having a full house, in addition to Luke and Typo from Biting the Bullet podcast. Luke and Typo are ex-Marines. They are goofy and autists like us, and it should be a really, really good time.
Yeah, for sure. It should be real interesting.
Yes. Yes. Maybe if we get a chance, we can discuss the Gray Van theory. I like it. That's something I'm gonna roll with when I talk about OPSEC and not having bumper stickers.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's it. It's so funny just because I remember that moment where we left black marks. I mean, tire smoke just, and he pulls over the Mustang that was doing fucking nothing.
Yeah,
for it, and we're like, ha, 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 ha. Glorious, absolutely glorious.
Just assumed. He just assumed.
Yeah, nobody looks at the vans, man. Nobody looks at it. Nobody looks at
was
the
it because the Mustang was black? Is that it?
Actually, I think it was like a Mach 1. I think it was yellow. It was like a yellow Mach 1.
Ew, I pulled him over because it was a yellow Mach 1. That is a crime in its own self.
Dude, that's the original Eleanor. What's wrong with you? That's the original Eleanor.
Not
from the
yellow.
Original Gone in 60 Seconds. Yeah, from the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
No,
that's the original Eleanor.
It's still a crime. Just because it was cool in the past doesn't mean it's a crime now.
It's still cool. 71 Mach 1 it's the last of the cool Mustangs for like 15 years. That was the last of the good Mustangs.
Bro, there have never been cool Mustangs.
Yes, there have. Lots of cool.
No.
I fucking love Mustangs.
No. This is Mopar country.
They're better than Camaros. Actually, to that point,
the 67, 68, 69 Camaro aesthetically is in the top 3. Performance, it's not in the top 3.
Dude, classic muscle cars, even classic hardcore Mopar cars, can't beat a Nissan Altima off the line. Okay, they're like, that's the reality. They actually can't. I've watched it happen. But you know,
you can put, and you can do an LS swap in just about anything these days. So performance is kind of a non sequitur these days.
If I was going to do like a resto mod though, of like an old school, like a 71 Challenger, I'm throwing a Hellcat in it.
Yes.
And we're just like, woo, yeah, rear tires are evil, must be punished. And it's
Jason buys stock in Goodyear.
Good times.
Mickey Thompson's.
Yeah, you know, just throw slicks on it because then you're not burning off any tread at least.
All
right.
Throw some links. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, so if you want to care for your beard like a Viking, use code InkTannerkiss15. Get 15% off of your order from thebeardstruggle.com. Be sure to check out their beard straightener, their new platinum scents, as well as the gold and the silver. And, you know, they have stuff for ladies, too. So, ladies, do you want to feel left out? You can also use that code. You can get some good smellies that way as well.
For their beards?
Not for their beards, for their regular
It's 2022.
hair.
It's 2022. I just want to be sure.
They don't cater to dwarves. It's anyway.
That's dwarfist.
Dwarfist. Oh, well, you know, those little bastards always mining, looking for gold and stuff. It's singing songs early in the morning when they leave for work. It's annoying. If you 3D print your shooty boys, and don't forget that the ATF's new rule is coming up real soon. So if you're going to do that, you should do that now. And if you need metal stuff for that, check out RK Spookware, who's an affiliate of the channel. You can check them out in the description. Don't forget to check out Poppin's patches. He makes all kinds of patches that we wear constantly on here. Jason's wearing one right now. You've seen a whole bunch of them on me, on Chris, on Jason. if you want to check him out and use the code that's on the screen right now, though if you're listening, you can't see it, it's abolish ATF for 15% off of your order from there. So you can get 15% off, get yourself some cool patches, get yourself some cool t-shirts. Check them out as well. Chris isn't here, but Jeremy at the Quartering has coffee. It's Coffee Brand Coffee Company. There's a link again in the description, and you can support the channel for the affiliate link there. Buy Derica's book, Think for Yourself, a Thinking Workbook for Beginners. I think I hit everything in 2 minutes.
Yes, and we still went overtime.
A few seconds.
Boring. Oh, boring. I just realized. I just found out who Boring Sandwich is. Nice. I did not know that. That's kind of cool. I got a message from Boring Sandwich on Facebook. We're friends.
Oh, cool.
So on that note, I will not out him unless he wants to. But on that note, only you can prevent dungeon fires. So kill the wizards first. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Helps if I hit the end broadcast button.
A little bit.
Yeah.